Welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast. We're coming to you live from Cole Creative in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene. And my fellow co-host and jerky connoisseur, Johnny Popko, is not here tonight, unfortunately. But I'm not sure if he'll be back next week either, but he'll be back soon enough. But we have plenty to talk about tonight. We're here with Quoth and Gary Goblins, two electronic music artists who were named DJ and Electronic Act of the Year, respectively, at the 2018 Steamtown Music Awards. So we're going to be talking about their joint project, Spectre, and their show this Saturday at the Irish Wolf Pub in Scranton, creating experimental electronic music, building an electronic scene in the area, and much, much more. So please stay tuned for the full hour, and we would love to hear from you guys. If you have any questions or comments, if you want to join in our discussion at any point, you have an opinion you'd like to throw in there, you would like to know anything about what these guys do and how they do it, please leave those comments down below. We will get to them a little bit later in the show, so it's much more fun when you guys participate. So make sure that you tune in and leave some comments down there. Even just saying what handsome gentlemen these guys are, whatever you want to talk about.
Don't be doing that.
No, that's not necessary at all. Not even true. But we'll take it anyway, though.
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt.
No.
So before we get to the interview, we have some beers to pop over from Beer Boys in Wilkes-Barre. They have 72 beers on tap, and every Wednesday is their glass night, so you can stop down for a Thanksgiving spritzer in a free platinum vodka glass tonight. I noticed they also have Middlesworth chicken fingers and fries, which sounds amazing.
No.
So
Is that what we're doing later?
It's right down the road.
Yeah, I know exactly where they are.
Nice.
They also have a half-price happy hour on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays from 9 to 11, and Fridays and Saturdays from 8 till midnight. So stop down and take advantage of that. There's also live entertainment on the weekends at 10 p.m., and there's never a cover. This week, they gave us Narragansett Lager, the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. We've had that on the show before. It's a solid one. And Goose Island IPA. So I guess we got the hoppier ones tonight, other than the lager. So what do you guys want to start with? Do you want the IPA or the lager or the pale ale?
I like the pale ale.
I'm a lager fan myself.
All right, we'll go lager first.
Okay. Crack these open. So what'd you guys do today? Busy day?
Work. We work at the same place. Just in
really?
Apartments, yeah.
Nah.
Work.
Nah.
Told everybody at 4 o'clock, see you suckers. But then again, I think they were done maybe 15 minutes after I left, which is always the way.
Yeah.
If I don't decide that I have to leave early, we're there till for 12 hours. But the day you decide, hey, I'm leaving at 4, you're done by 3:30, 4 o'clock.
It's probably hell to find parking tonight. The Kirby Center has a show going on.
No, we got pretty lucky.
Oh, good.
I mean, I know the area pretty well, so I knew what I was looking for, and it ended up getting a spot right across from the parking lot. So.
Oh, good.
It's just sitting there.
Not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Yeah, this was pretty solid. Beer Boys is always good to us. They always pick out good stuff. We also want to plug the V-Spot, one of the most popular bars in northeastern Pennsylvania with live entertainment every night of the week. This week they have Always Undecided on Thursday, which if you watched our open mic feed last night, you saw they were there for that. So they'll be there on Thursday. Let's see, A Proud Monkey is playing the music of Dave Matthews Band on Friday. And if you watched our live stream on Sunday, we streamed those guys when we were at the Boot Family Benefit at the River Street Jazz Cafe. Now, I'm not a Dave Matthews guy at all, so I only know the 2 songs that they play on the radio all the time.
Ant Marching and Crash.
Pretty much. Yeah. It was one of those things where they started playing them, and I went, Oh, so that's Dave Matthews,
Yeah.
huh? Like, I had no idea, because they all sound the same to me when it
After
comes
all
to the
this
radio
time.
stuff. Yeah, doesn't make a difference to me who it is or whatever. But they sounded really good. The band is really, really talented. There's a couple members of different bands, Nowhere Slow and Rogue Chimp, and a bunch of those guys all together in one band. It's really, really good. So even if you don't like Dave Matthews, they do play some other stuff too. And then Saturday is Pink Slip playing party songs, and DJ Huff is hosting karaoke on Sunday. And we only have 2 weeks left of NEPA Scene Rising Talent, so if you want to stop by the open mic, any genre, anything that you guys do, music, comedy, whatever, you only have 2 weeks left to do it, and then we'll be gone for an extended amount of time. So we may be back in the spring, depends on if you guys want to see it. But we only have 2 weeks left, and you can vote for your favorite acts now at nepascene.com/rising talent. So make sure that you do that as well. The contest for last month is going on now, and then once this month is over, then we'll start the other contest in December. So you can vote for your favorite acts on there, and you can vote once a day. So make sure you vote early and vote often, as they say. All right. So let's get into it, guys. We'll start at the beginning. How did you guys get into electronic music? How did you discover it originally, and what made you want to do it?
I'll let you start.
Well, for me, it was kind of like growing up on like a lot of heavy metal, and at the end of the 1980s, that kind of was going into the where that was going.
Like hair metal and glam metal. And
Yeah,
that
we
kind
were
of
we were
stuff?
we were killing the ozone layer,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
And
you have no love for Poison or anything like that?
it's not that I don't have love
Motley
for it,
Crue had the
but
hair up a little bit. Too.
I was always a fan of more aggression, a more aggressive style of like thrash metal and
Sure.
stuff, and on the mainstream anyhow, or like MTV, that was just starting to get wimpy,
Right.
per se. So not too long after that, I kind of started getting into like more like industrial metal. Ministry, Psalm 69 had just come out, and I'm like,
That's
this
a good
is
place to start.
Yeah, that is a good introduction, and here you had that aggressive metal, but you also had like sampling and some technology edge to it,
Right.
and so I was hooked on that pretty much immediately. So from following Ministry, who didn't Ministry work with?
Us.
Well, this is true.
Yeah.
But that was like a who's who of industrial music back at the turn of the 80s into the 90s. So
Sure.
from there that led to his side project with Revco, and then from there that led to Front 242.
Okay.
So aside with the metal, I also did listen to like a lot of like new wave and keyboard based music in the earlier to mid 80s. So for me, like a band like Front 242 kind of met like all of that like in the middle.
Right.
It put the guitars away, but it kept that aesthetic to it, that it was harder music, but you could dance to it.
Yeah.
And it just struck a chord with me. I've never been the same since.
I guess with me, I'm pretty old. I'm not going to try to age myself, but I was a new wave kid. Well, I was an R&B. My family raised me up in old R&B, and like Barry White and stuff that was going on in the 70s. I guess a lot of disco too, but in the very early 80s. Like I said, I don't want to age myself, but I grew up in a really interesting time. I always like to tell people, where the 80s and the 90s, as far as radio was concerned, was great because you can hear like 10 million different types of music on the same radio station.
Yeah.
And the 80s was really good like that, and 90s was a little bit good, and then we started drifting away from where you started getting specific. But I was listening from anything from R&B and Rakim to Psychedelic Furs on the same station, and I loved it all. So that's where my music knowledge started to pick up. As far as and of course with the new wave came the electronic. So
Right.
Depeche Mode and stuff like that, Erasure, were really big things in my life when I was younger. And then I got introduced, I never really thought about this, knowing him for so long, but then I got introduced to Ministry. But I got introduced to Ministry on the flip side when they were still poppy, synth pop.
Oh, okay.
Every day is like Halloween type of stuff.
Yeah, right.
But I didn't really know that was Ministry until a friend of mine had a copy of the 12-inch singles.
Mm-hmm.
He also had a copy of The Land of Rape and Honey and gave them both to me. And I listened to the 12-inch singles because I knew these songs. So I'm listening to it.
Yeah.
And then I finished that, my Walkman, then again dating myself. And then I take The Land of Rape and Honey and put that in, and I literally, within the first 5 minutes, had to open up the cassette jacket and be like, these
Make
are the
sure
same
it's
people.
the same people.
Yeah.
And that's what started my little bit of love for industrial music. Then a friend of mine named Joe Gallo, when I used to work at Tower Records, introduced me to Skinny Puppy. And not going much, the rest was history from there.
Yeah.
It was just, that I became a goth kid, a rivet head, all in the same day. I was going out to clubs pretty much that night, and it was that pretty much from my late 80s, my early mid 90s. And I just never stopped listening to that music ever
It
since.
was a good time to be a music fan, though. Like you said, like with the radio, was much more diverse in that time, and it seemed like there was a lot more stations too. I mean, especially for you, like you were, growing up in New York.
Yeah. In New York, there was just like, there was a lot of what they would call pop stations, but they would play everything, and everything else was like an R&B station.
Yeah.
Which this was specifically R&B, but everything else was just a mixture of genres or a Spanish channel.
Now, I grew up in the Poconos, so we were kind of in this like cross market in TV and radio where we had access to whatever it was locally. We had East Stroudsburg University college radio, which who knows what you were going to hear on there.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. And
College radio is just the best.
On a good night, we were getting some of the New York channels even. And, we had Allentown stations we were getting in. So, like, it was kind of coming at you at all angles, So, like you said, it was a good time.
It was definitely good. 80s and 90s, definitely a good time for radio.
Brought up in music.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and it just went from there with electronic music. I just went further, like you said, further just down the rabbit hole.
Now, for you coming from New York, did you see any of that stuff live? Were you able to catch any of that scene while it was still kind of on at the time?
I would say it really didn't hit me until like, I think my first real electronic show, I think in the first year I saw Front 242's Tyranny tour, and I think false. I saw Nine Inch Nails tour by themselves for the first time, and I think that was '89. Mm-hmm. I was working at Tower Records. We got free tickets.
Oh, nice.
And later that year, or maybe 2 years after that.
Yeah, well, that was right around.
But I saw a lot of bands at very
yeah.
smaller clubs like Frontline Assembly. I saw Killing Joke. I saw a couple of times. New York is a weird place because, like me, I was working at Tower Records and living on my own. I was only 17 years old at the time. You pick up the Village Voice, and I'm literally going, okay, I'm gonna go here to see this opening band. And then I'm going to go here, and it's still early to catch this band opening over here.
Right.
And then I'm going to see this closer on any given night. And then I'm going to go clubbing after that.
Right.
And it was a very good time. Like, I saw a lot of bands, famous, local, and I mean, every day of the week I was going to see bands. So, yeah, I caught a lot of that. I mean, I went to see the Go-Go's. I mean, who can say that?
That's true.
That was a good time. One of my top 10 concerts ever was definitely the Go-Go's.
What about you? What have you seen live, or what did you kind of start out seeing?
Yeah, for me, like you kind of had to go to Philadelphia if you wanted to see any of this underground stuff. Then like, so yeah, my first concert was Front 242 with Project Pitchfork and Crocodile Shop. Wow. So there's some names that from the past that no one's heard of
at all.
And
Crocodile Shop.
Oh man, I mean, pretty much I guess out of like the electro industrial acts, the out of the bigger names in the genre that I haven't seen would be KMFDM.
I saw them.
And Frontline Assembly.
I saw them.
9 Inch Nails. But yeah, I mean, I saw My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. I've seen Ministry a few times. 242, obviously. Osico. That's getting more into, like, the agrotech genre. Yeah.
My Life with the Thrill Kill, it was always a good show.
The Thrill Kill Call was a good
always
show.
A good time.
I saw them open for Ministry and a headlining show, and each time they delivered.
Yeah, they put on a good show.
Yeah, on point.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, like a lot of these people have changed over time, or they've changed members, they've changed styles and things like that. How do you see that kind of music today? Like, is the same quality stuff coming out? Is it changed so much? I mean, I know I have very strong feelings about 9 Inch Nails. I've seen them a million times, and I enjoy them, but I can't say that I'm as much of a fan nowadays of what.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it seems like in the States it's drifted like away. Europe still has a pretty big scene, but a lot of it is more like the agrotech base. You have like Out of Line Records and stuff, based out of Germany, and but like here, I mean, we have Metropolis.
Do we still have Cleopatra? Is that even?
Cleopatra's still a company, but I guess they just got so far into tribute albums and soundtracks and things like that.
Yeah.
That I think the American scene has kind of no place to go, or we're kind of people without a country at this point.
Right.
The acts that are still doing it though. I mean, you mature, you age, different members.
Yep.
Quality. I guess that goes by act. Like Thrill Kill Cult. They put it on.
Well, yeah.
Each time I saw them, and there was years apart.
Yeah, years. Yeah, I mean, they've been around a long time. They're still consistent to this day.
Yeah.
But I mean, you still have other I will say that 9 Inch Nails matured.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can I go back and listen to Pretty Hate Machine right now? No. But can I listen to the new album? Yes, probably. But can I go back and listen to like the Downward Spiral and the Fragile?
Sure.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
People grow up. I mean, you got to look at the fact that life experiences changes people. You're talking about Pretty Hate Machine when he was broke.
Sure.
And now he's,
and he's not really a fan of that stuff nowadays.
Like Eminem
playing
said
it or
in that
listening
song,
to it.
I can't talk about being broke no more.
Yeah.
I can't.
Right.
You're not broke. It's a different life situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I keep my industrial old school. I really don't think that, at least nobody has proven to me, except in a very few occasions like Common Christ or stuff like that, that nobody's pushing the envelope anymore.
Mm-hmm.
From where I was, from when I started listening, there are a few, but on the whole, it just seems like the same. And I don't like blanketing it, but from what I hear of the newer stuff, it seems like the same 120, 140 BPM.
I love my 120 BPM.
Yeah, well, I'm excluding you. I do love your 120 and all.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't see a lot of people pushing the envelope anymore. Mm-hmm. But I could be wrong. I could be so far out of touch that I'm not seeing the right people. But every time I hear something new, it just seems like...
Or it's just further underground at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the music business changed so much.
Yes, it did.
I mean, I can sit here and talk about record labels and men without countries, but I mean, you have all of this at your disposal now with, the Bandcamps and the SoundClouds and
Sure.
So I think, the stuff is probably still out there.
Right.
It's, you just got to dig a little further for it,
Right.
It's not as simple as, meeting up with a buddy at a record store, now and being like, hey, have you heard this? You know,
it's really hard.
It's more like scrolling on a screen, and if you like this,
send me the Bandcamp list, link or something.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Which is not a bad thing. I mean, but the market's getting so oversaturated, it's kind of hard to discover the good. And because the good gets buried under so much stuff.
It's a catch-22. I would have never been able to do what it is that I do without MP3s and without websites and uploading and stuff like that. But like you said, now there's just so much content out there that you don't even know where to begin sometimes. So.
Yeah, you get lost.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how you guys got into playing this music. What made you decide this is what I want to do now too?
Well, for me, I took art in high school all 4 years, and I graduated and bought a synthesizer and said the hell with art. Basically, I did, yeah. But it's the honest truth, Like I guess I just became such a fan and a listener that I was like, well, maybe I can, try this on my own. And even during high school, I did mess around with a couple of computer programs that were really rough. I couldn't even tell you
what. Did
you
play with that PlayStation? What was that thing for PlayStation?
No, as far as console video game music, the furthest I ever got was Mario Paint. But
careful, you already. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. We already had to talk about Mario. That's the honest truth.
The mushroom was the drums.
Oh God. So bad.
But I got so interested in the synthesizer that I just decided, hey, let's go for it. My sister and I, growing up, we were always into sound and messing with sound, and we always were recording things on cassette tapes, and we had a small reel-to-reel, and we were just always screwing around. So I think for me that was like how I kind of got into the hands-on approach to music and wanting to do hardware-based synthesizer music versus, say, like on a computer DAW. So I bought a keyboard, and I had my fun with it, and then it was well, let's get another one and see where we can go. And eventually, it was just kind of like you were so far into it, you kind of had to do something with it. It was becoming an expensive hobby at that point. So, that's it in a nutshell for me.
I guess with me, I've always been a fan of the music, and I've always been a fan of music, period.
Right.
And I always wanted to do something, but, I took drum lessons, and that was cool.
Yeah.
But that didn't last. It's kind of like a new kid picking up a new sport, and are you going to keep going with this or not? And I kind of just became more of an appreciative listener more than anything else. And I got old enough where I was like, I really want to do something. Like, I really want to try to add something to the musical spectrum, even though how vast it is. Like, I wanted to do something, and I really didn't know, what to do. Like, I can't play an instrument, a traditional one. I had no singing ability whatsoever. So, no songwriting skills to speak of, as far as I know, still to this day. And, so I was actually on a Skinny Puppy forum. And for some reason, I think I was really drunk. I was like, how does one, because a lot of the people on the forum how does one get into this? I think that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Well, you need to get a DAW. And I was like, well, slow down. Like, can you please, dumb that down? Oh, you need to get something like, FL Studios or Cubase or, whatever. And I was like, all right, well, and I did. And I was like, I even said to myself, like, I'm going to play around with this. And I'm just going to drop this like I dropped the drums. And I stuck with it.
Yeah.
And I got really, really into it. And what was really good for me and what was fascinating to me is like the stuff that was in my head I was actually doing. So I stuck with it. And here I am.
That's one of the cool things about being an artist is of any kind. I mean, I come from a family of artists, painters, other musicians, and I think, to jump off what you're saying, like the satisfaction of, you know, saying I did that and I captured that moment, and you watched it build from the ground up, is that's one of those things that artists understand about one another. You know, it's one of those codes, I guess you could say, that, you know, that any artist or musician has, you know, in common with one another.
Sure. Well, and I want to be specific with what we're talking about here, too. I think a lot of people might think electronic music, they hear EDM, they hear, like, that type of...
that word.
You know, or they think of, like, Camp Bisco and that kind of stuff, which we've talked about.
And there's nothing wrong. I mean, yeah, it's...
But this is very different.
Right. I mean, and this isn't the first time that, like, electronic music as a whole has come across that, you know, where it was misinterpreted as to what it really was.
Yeah.
You know, back in the 90s when the rave scene was, you know, off the charts,
yeah.
all electronic music was techno.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, not all electronic music is techno. That's just...
I mean, we were fighting this battle like 20 some odd 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's gotten so convoluted, you know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, like, you know, that I'm Italio, disco, house, tech, garage step, you know, like, it kind of gets ridiculous.
I gotta make sure I like go home and hear that whole description. I'm gonna try to make
because I'm never gonna remember what the hell I just said.
I'm trying to do
but you know what I mean. So like, but then you just come and say to somebody, "I do electronic music," then they don't really know. You know, I mean, I guess for me, I most closely associate with like industrial or EBM.
EBM, yeah.
You know, I've been into a lot more like ambient music lately, and been getting into like a lot of like Berlin school, like Tangerine Dream. I mean, we're going back into the 70s now, and you know, stuff like that's like kind of been my thing lately, you know. But yeah, not all electronic music is EDM.
And I think with me, I think the difference. I don't even know if you would agree with this, but like, I don't even know. Like, I guess I stay closer more to the EBM than the EDM. This is really... Okay, EBM is electronic body music.
Okay.
And then there's EDM. No, and not to discredit
And the
anything.
difference being... For the layman.
For the layman.
The major difference would be like
It's aggressiveness?
Yeah, going back to that, you know, line between the metal music or whatever. Like EBM, I guess you would kind of say would be like the heavy metal of dance music.
Okay.
Like without guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's
is that fair enough?
That's fair enough. I mean, like, yeah, that's definitely fair enough. I think I flow. I try to stay EBM as possible, but I do listen to a lot of EDM, and a lot of that translates into that. I also listen to a lot of hip hop. A lot of that translates into what I do. I listen to a lot of ambient. A lot of ambient translates. A lot of punk stuff translates into what I do at times. I try to say I stay close to the EBM thing because that's what I'd like to say, but I'm kind of all over the place. It's just whatever's good at the time, basically for me. Like I never want to just put it to one category.
Right.
But I guess
it's hard to do.
It's hard to do because I mean a lot of people go in and say I'm EBM and we're just going to do this way, and I never go in there saying I'm going to do anything anyway. It's just whatever it happens.
Everything I do usually is experimental based, or like, you know, just kind of jamming out and, you know, oh shit, this sounds great. You know what I mean? Like hit record, you know, and stuff like that. So it's very rare that I go into a project with like, this is what we're
doing. Yeah, I think that's the same for me.
I don't know. That's too much like a job to me.
Yeah, it's a job. Exactly.
Yeah, you know, like I know when I get up and go to work what I'm supposed to do. It's the same boring thing every day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is art. You know, like the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Agreed.
So when you say experimental, what exactly are you mean by that in terms of the way that you're putting it together, your creative process?
Well, usually I'll start out with like a percussion track. I mean, I guess that's probably 9/10 of electronic artists probably
go that way.
Okay.
There's stuff like that. Create a beat, and then you have no idea what's going to happen after that. I mean,
half the time you're not even really making the beat for the song. You're just
screwing around,
trying to keep time to something.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. You give yourself a beat to give yourself a clock.
Yeah,
More.
I mean, that's what I've been doing lately.
Anything else could happen. After that is you could do big synth leads. You could do intricate sequences, and that's gonna, on top of that same beat, give you two totally different feelings.
Sure.
So, for me, it starts with a beat. From there,
it's whatever.
Yeah, basically.
Same. I have to agree with him. It's the same.
Yeah.
I'm a beat person. When I first started this, I was never a synth person. It was really hard for me to do that. And I was always beats.
And it doesn't always work.
No.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't always work.
Like for every one of my... How many albums am I up to? Like 1 million?
Yeah, something like that.
Like for how many albums?
I
have on my Bandcamp, there's probably close to that amount of rubbish that I still have laying around on like hard drives and stuff. You know what I mean?
Same with me. Like a lot of throwaways. This is stuff.
Or stuff that you're just not feeling at that time. And you'll have a drum track and like maybe a sequence or a bass track in there, and you'll put it away for like a year, and then you'll just go back and be like, well, what the hell is Project 832? And you go back, and you're like, this was good, man. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
You just weren't feeling it at the moment.
Yeah, I have to say that we have the same creative process. We definitely do. It starts with a beat for me, and I really can't tell you what the next step is.
Throw caution to the wind.
Yeah, you just throw caution to the wind. If you like it, you like it. I mean, I have tons of stuff sitting on my hard drive that is yet to see the light of day.
Yeah,
that's probably like maybe 45 seconds long, and that's it. But I may come back to that. A lot of the last album stuff, some of that stuff on there was about 3 years old. Because I just was thumbing through stuff going, oh, what's this, that, third? I was like, wait a minute, maybe I could do something with this now. I think my creative process is a little bit different than his, is that I'm still learning the craft still. Now that I've gone over the hardware, I'm still learning the craft still, so hearing stuff that I was doing under that grade. Okay. Now I've graduated, and now I can probably take that thing and make it something better or do something different with it. A lot has happened to me recently.
Well, everything is learning. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this like 20 years now, and like if I'm not learning something, I'm kind of not really interested in it.
Right.
It's, I mean, you have your certain basics of synthesis, but how you combine them and employ them into what you're doing as you grow older as an artist, that changes drastically. Then too, there's also the fact that we record all of our stuff. We're also home studios.
Right.
So then there's the whole learning process of production and engineering and stuff like that.
you're an artist, producer, engineer, all at the same time.
It's completely DIY. It's like kind of like the last of like the punk.
It's not like you're just putting something to a track to present to a band later, to go to a studio later to make sound. It's all that's you, and that's it.
Right.
And
for me, since I've been doing the music, for say a bit longer than
a lot longer.
Quoth has. you know, for me, like getting into that studio production thing and trying to improve on that the best I can and get the best sound quality, you know, that was just like a natural progression for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, I wanted to, you know, move on to and, you know, just present myself and package it better, I guess you would say.
But it's still the same equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been beating on like the Ensoniq Fismo synth for 20 years, and you know, I'll still go home, turn it on, and I won't do something the same that I've done for 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the mark of a good synth.
Right.
You know, but you know, that's the fun in it for me. You know, is the constant discovery of something new.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's grab some comments quick before we get back into it.
Comments.
Zoe Malazzo says, "Hi, Dad."
Hey,
Zoe!
Pally Pal, how's it going?
Ions says, "I love Quoth and Gary Goblins."
Oh yeah. Hey.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
wow. That's from,
fantastic.
That's
he lives
from
Bolivia.
Bolivia.
Oh wow!
It's Bolivia.
Thanks
love.
for tuning in. That's
South
awesome.
America,
South America.
representing. That is awesome.
And he's an amazing artist on his own.
Thank you very much for that.
And he's an amazing artist on his own.
That made my night right there.
Yeah.
He's
It
probably
really did.
sitting there going, "What's a NEPA?" But other than that,
Yeah, right.
And, well, yeah,
We had to explain. He just loved it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
dude, that is awesome.
Joe Caviston says, "Shout out ECU Radio, 90.3 West Salon."
WESS. Oh yeah. I mean, I heard everything on that station from you know, hardcore rap to ministry to everything in between. Like, it was always a good time.
Yeah.
Living in East Stroudsburg.
Rachel Malazzo says, "Still love Pretty Hate Machine." I do too.
No hate against Pretty Hate Machine.
Absolutely.
None.
It just sounds so
Different,
and it
so
does sound
weird.
dated.
Yeah, it does.
Like it does, but like that's not a bad
No,
thing.
no.
You know, again, that's an artist in a place and time, and you know, I think like he kind of came out of nowhere, really. Like it seemed, you know, he was kind of a hanger.
Yeah, he was
with
a
the
hanger
wax
on.
tracks like scene. And
Yep.
then just boom, there it was.
That's what it
And,
was.
like,
That's all it takes.
And you know, I mean, talk about like meteoric rise of an artist. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah,
You
right
know?
after that.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Dakota Henderson says, "Love the message." Thank you. Rachel asks, "What are y'all drinking?"
What are we drinking right now?
The Sierra Nevada Pale Ale,
Ale.
which is quite good. I enjoy it.
Definitely.
Courtesy of Beer Boys, thank you. Keith Barbuti says, "Quoth and Gary Goblins, you guys rule." Ephraim,
Greenfly rules.
Well, Greenfly rules in his
Greenfly rules.
He rules in his own right.
way, yeah.
Ephraim Torres says,
Yeah, I don't know what Effort's saying there.
I'm not sure.
What's good, baby? 48-foot cell in the building. I'm gonna have to ask him at work tomorrow, unless he wants to like reply what the heck that means. I'll ask him. He'll probably say what it means in 2 seconds.
But cool, thank you all for tuning in. If
Yeah,
you're
thanks.
still
you.
still watching, by all means, throw some questions at us. If you
Absolutely.
like, you don't have to just rely on me to ask all the questions.
So far, no fake profiles.
No,
Is it too soon to say
It's-
something like that?
it's honestly very rare.
Yeah.
Every once in a blue moon.
I think I was catching it when it was like back to back, whatever that was.
Yeah, there was
But
that happens. It happens, but not too often.
let's not-
Sometimes we get like the one time there were people who were like trolling across all of Facebook. There was like a trend going on where all like live videos, like people would go in and start talking about like couches or something weird. And
Well,
so
this one's pretty comfortable.
we've caught.
I like
in case
this.
you're wondering.
We've
Yeah.
caught that at one point. Yeah, we always give the guests the good couch.
Yeah,
This
they
couch
were
is-
explaining that to us. Sorry, Ray. I feel for you right now.
That's all right. That's all right. I go home after this to the good couch.
Yeah.
But we want to talk about how do you blend those together for Spectre? Like, what are you blending your own styles, or are you creating something like completely different for that? How does that work?
Well, yeah, it's kind of completely different. I mean, it's all like paint, but
I like that.
But like
that
what?
should be the title of an episode.
but
It's
like,
kind of completely different.
like it's all paint, but like here's some watercolor and here's some acrylic. You know, like we come from, you know, different backgrounds. You know, even as fans, we come from different backgrounds of electronic music. We obviously come from different approaches in our art. You know, with me being hardware based exclusively, and
me being more laptop based.
Bridging into that, and that's kind of actually how it all started to begin with. Was trying to learn you some lessons on the Electrotribe.
Well, yeah, I mean, our whole first album, Jam the Transmission, which you can find at Bandcamp, by the way.
Cheap plug. That was great.
Yeah, wasn't that good? Wasn't even supposed to be an album. I acquired a Korg EMX1, which, you know, we're if anybody doesn't realize, we're really good friends. So we hang out with each other quite often and drink a lot of beer. And he would always take me to his studio, and he had this blue thing. And I'm calling the blue thing now because at the time I had no idea what it was, but this thing looked great.
It's blue.
And if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, look up a Korg EMX1. It's a beautiful piece of machinery. It's really attractive. And I mean, I used to tell him all the time, you know, I'm from Brooklyn. You could be a statistic with this thing real easily. I could walk out of here with it. But I drew a long story in that he was involved, but I acquired one for a fairly good price. And I was so scared of hardware at the time that it actually sat on top of my CD cabinet for how long? 2 years without getting touched.
Over a year.
Yeah, it was. I think it was almost 2 years without getting touched.
Yeah.
And one day I bit the bullet. And I said, listen, I really want to start learning this. So he's like, dude, come over to the house, drink some beer, I'll show you some things. Came over to the house, drank some beer. Next thing you know, Jam the Transmission was made.
Yeah, I don't think in the end there was ever really a lesson.
No, there was no lesson.
Like it just didn't happen, you know. I was just kind of like, you know, follow me. And that was it. And I happened to record the session on mixlr.com, and we broadcast it, and you know, we got a couple of listeners listening to when we did it actually live, and you know, the feedback was pretty good.
Like, listening to something live is a whole totally different like, while you're doing it, you're not really listening to it, you're creating it.
Right.
So when he turned around and actually played it, what was almost how long ago?
Many months.
Like, it was like 6 months later. He's like, "Oh, remember when we did that thing?"
Yeah, because I also recorded it to my mixing desk too.
Yeah,
and you know, that gave me the opportunity to go back and edit and, you know, do stuff like that. And yeah, that's
well, I think this is before you even edited it.
Oh yeah.
He was like, "Remember when we did that thing?" I'm like, "What thing?" "Oh, that mix." Yeah. He's like, "You should really listen to this," and I'm like, "Okay." He's like, because I haven't listened in a while. I started listening to it. There's some stuff on here, man. And I'm like, all right, play it. And I'm like, I'm listening to it going, this couldn't have been us. And like I said, you're a big creator. You're not really thinking. I'm like, I don't even remember half this stuff, but this is really good. And he's like, let me clean it up. And not clean it up, but I guess separate them. Basically, yeah. There was no overdub.
Make some fine edits into, like, you know, where certain parts, you know, were getting maybe a little boring in the jam, you know, and just cut it out for a minute, or something came in a little too loud on one of our ends, and
which probably was me.
But yeah, like as far as the music, you know, went, like that was it. You know, it was minor editing at best, you know, and
then we decided to release it, and I guess we couldn't call it like the Gary Goblins and Quoth. That was kind of lame. And so I think I came up with the name, or threw the name at you.
Yeah,
Spectre, and it stuck. And then it went from there. Now, we had done tracks with each other before that. If you get Jam the Transmission, there are 2 added songs called Beer. And Not Ambient, which is totally ambient.
It's a totally
ambient song.
Total ambient track, yeah.
That we had made years well, maybe a year or two prior.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we never thought it was anything. We put it on Reverb Nation, and I think that was the only place you could find it. We just threw it up there, like I think the day that we did it, and then we realized that we were Spectreing before Spectre was Spectre. So we decided to throw that at the end of the album too.
And you had Demigod on your album. And,
off my album.
You know, and I did the remix of Mockery and stuff. So, like, we were kind of swirling with it there for a while, you know.
Right.
It was a good thing.
And then just, one lesson.
Which I still, to this
one
day,
lesson later.
by the way, this man still owes me a lesson.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think I'm good now, but he still owes me a lesson nonetheless.
That's fair.
Maybe that'll be the next album.
There you go.
The next lesson session.
Yeah, right.
Well, Quoth, when we originally met, was
I remember that. Do you remember where that was?
Was at the cafe downtown.
Yes, sir.
The coffee shop.
Me and Steph.
Yeah, and so we had talked about electronic music then. That was 4 years ago. Was when NEPA Scene had first started. You can go back in our archives and read it if you want.
Yeah.
And
I think it was called The Rise and Fall. The Rise of electronic music in NEPA.
Yeah, I think it was like the Steady Rise or something.
Steady
like
Rise.
that,
That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I looked over that again before tonight, just to kind of refresh my memory of that conversation, to see how that how things have progressed or whatever today. So one of the focuses of the interview was the NEPA Electrotribe and trying to get everybody together, under one roof, all the electronic artists in the area, to team up and do shows together and stuff like that. So how has that progressed or not since then?
The NEPA Electrotribe as a banner does not exist anymore.
Right.
Now, with that being said, everybody that was in that are still very much in operation.
Oh yeah, all the artists are
all the artists are still in operation. We're still in good communication. There's no ill will in that. It was just a hard thing to do, especially for Steph. And we realized that we're all artists, and we don't need a. I think it came down basically we didn't need a banner to support you, just to support each other.
Yeah.
And it made it a lot easier to do shows. Shows were getting kind of hard, if you can remember, because it was a really hard sell. It still is a hard sell. So it was really getting to the point where it was really a struggle to get shows together. So we decided that we did it for a while. It was good because it did get the name out. It did get the electronic local music thing out,
and it helped discover other electronic
because
artists in the area
if you're
too,
listening to me, I'm part of the Electrotribe, so you're listening to them, and that was all great.
Good for networking.
Great for networking, and it eventually came out. Everybody was networking anyway, kind of.
Yeah.
So we didn't need the banner. I felt we didn't need the banner. It was getting a lot of work on top of that, and Steph wanted to do other things outside of the Electrotribe.
Okay.
Because she, as myself, was a big fan of the local music scene in a whole, not just electronic music, and she wanted to try to do something with that. So the Electrotribe kind of went to the side. Everybody's still good. 8-Bit Panda Strike, Hypnotic Affected Bloodline.
Not What So People.
Not What So People.
I've known him for probably close to 20 years now. He's another one that transplanted from the Poconos up to this area. So we kind of led parallel lives for a little while.
Right, we're still all friends. We're still good. It's not like I think a lot of people who were running with it that there was some major crash between us all. It wasn't.
Sure.
No, it was more life, I guess.
Zovin and when we talk about bands that matured, Zovin was electronic, and now he's more of a hard. He, branched out in another direction. Not in another, but he varied it more. I still talk to Chuck. No ill wills anywhere. It's just the banner's gone. So we're all still here. We're all very much still here. Just not underneath one flag anymore.
So you guys are still doing regular shows and stuff. You can still see electronic shows, but maybe not as frequently?
Yeah, for me, you know,
Now, I'm gonna have to excuse myself. I really have to run to the bathroom.
No, by all means. Yeah.
I'll let him fill that.
Right around the corner there. There's a key. Right outside there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I haven't played live now in over a year.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those things for me that, you know, I'm much more comfortable being a studio artist. But I know getting out there is something that people have enjoyed, and you know, it's a good way to get your name out. And so, you know, I can't, you know, speak for myself and shows, and you know, I've done this and that, because I haven't. You know, I'll just straight up admit it. Other electronic shows, yeah, I mean, I know that 8-Bit Panda and Hypnotic Infected Bloodline had a show not too long ago at the Irish Wolf. You know, there's a couple other artists that I see here and there. I don't think it's been as big as far as like Quoth or like Hectic Management and Promotions promoting it. Obviously, you know, they have a young kid at home now, you know, so life's taken them in a little bit different direction.
Yeah.
You know, have him maybe speak on that when he comes back, you know.
Yeah.
So it's still going on, but I think it's fair to say it did lose some of its momentum.
Which it happens. You know, it's ebbs and flows.
Ebbs and flows, absolutely.
You know, and we talk about that on the show all the time with all kinds of musicians. You know, there are ebbs and flows to the scene. You talk to some bands and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's at its height right now," and other people are like, "Oh, it was better years ago." And
yeah, like this venue went away, and
exactly.
you know, oh my God, the whole scene's dead. No, it's not.
It's still there.
It's just over there.
Yeah,
you know, and I mean, and then you have, you know, specific artists, you know, maybe they're just going through some writer's block.
Sure.
You know, or maybe they just wanted to, you know, chill for a while, you know, and...
Yeah, and people have lives, they have, you know, they have kids, they have other stuff going on, so, you know, there's other things that get in the way of that stuff, too, and, you know, it doesn't mean you can't revisit it at some point or whatever. And, you know, funny enough, I just, at the V-Spot last night, when... I always, from the stage, I talk about what we do and explain it to people who are at the bar, who may or may not be listening, but either way, you know, say, hey, we're NEPA Scene, we do this and that and whatever. And it's, oh, tomorrow we're going to talk about electronic artists. And as I'm saying that, I'm looking straight across the way there, and there's a guy, Lee, who I've known for many years.
Oh.
And yeah, he plugged his album. He sent it to me.
Yeah.
Vitriol, is that how you say it?
Is Vitriol or Vitriol?
Yeah, it's on.
I never
it's
asked
on
him for the proper. Yeah.
Pronunciation.
Good dude.
So go check that out.
Good dude. Yes, definitely.
I figured I'd give him a shout out while we were here and we were talking about electronic.
He's definitely tried to make
tried
and currently are making some moves.
Sure.
In the scene, he did the AOEA. What was that again? I'm bad.
The area of electronic artists.
Yes.
The
and,
Facebook page.
Yeah, he tried definitely to promote a scene, as well. So you know, props to him, definitely.
So, do you find that it's? I see you guys are usually doing shows at maybe the Irish Wolf and the Keys and a few other places. Is it hard to find venues that are interested in hosting this type of stuff?
Absolutely. That is the prop.
I think it's just one of those things that, you know, it's kind of so underground, really. Yeah. And that this does tend to be more of the rock and roll kind of. You know, area.
In town in general, yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
That, you know, at the end of the day, the venues, they're a business, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And we understand that.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we're caught in the bind of, you know, like, well, we can't get out there and make anything better of ourselves if there's nowhere to go. You know?
Right.
But, you know, at the end of the day, I guess, you know, the cash register has to talk.
It does. It does. And I understand that completely.
That's just business, you know. Is there other places we'd like to play?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we were asked this just the other day, you know.
Yeah.
I would love to go back to the other side.
It would be great to go back to the other side.
That was I love that place so much. Only because I'd never been there before until the day we had to play a show. What was that, 2016?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't play that night.
Yeah.
I mean, I interrupted you.
You interrupted
yeah, but I didn't play.
No, anybody that's been in New York and part of New York, I've seen this club called the Pyramid on Avenue A, 7th, and that was my old stomping grounds back in the day. And that place, as soon as I walked into it, it was like the total like remembrance of the Pyramid. Had the same feel and everything, and I fell in love with it instantly. And you had like screens behind you, lights, the whole nine. You know, Stash was still there.
It was just loud,
and it was loud, and it was like Stash like, what do you want to play in background? And I mean, I don't know if this is so PC to say, but remember this is 2 years ago. I decided to tell Stash that I wanted, like, there is a YouTube video. I'm probably going to get killed for this again. But there's a YouTube video.
Well, this is the show to say it.
Yeah, it's a YouTube video of, I believe it's called, if you actually type in Bill Cosby on acid. And it literally is Bill Cosby from an episode of like Fat Albert, and they put all these psychedelic filters on him, and it looks like he's tripping. And
yeah,
like I love the fact that I could have just said that to him, and the next thing is behind me on the screen. Like I just loved it. It was such a great venue. I mean, and like we said before when we were asked this question a couple of days ago, I would pretty much do it anywhere that would have us. Mm. But we also know that in saying that there might be a risk. It's not for everybody.
Sure.
It's not, and the people, and I'm not going to say names because I'm not trying to be mean. Or there are people that are in situations where our music could be accepted, but our music is so left of center from what they do electronically that
right.
I think that we don't get thought of. Mm-hmm. And that's not to name anybody or to even say anything wrong with that.
Sure.
But you know, there's a lot of people that do other things in the spectrum of, or you know, banner of electronic music that are over here that doesn't reach out to us too.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. It used to hurt my feelings. It doesn't
right,
anymore.
but yeah, like I mean, yeah,
it used to.
I mean, I understand fully that, you know, the sound that I create, mm-hmm. and especially like the live performance that I go forward with is not going to be welcome with open arms at like Camp Bisco.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
but the funny thing is my sound might be a little bit more welcomed at Camp Bisco, but I mean, I tend to go to the dancey with a little aggression. But then again,
would you play with other like completely different genres? Like
absolutely,
if a band was like,
hey,
yeah.
When Steph, Lady Hectic, had a Hectic Management Promotion, she had a thing called. You might remember she had a thing called the NEPA Musical Mixer.
That's right, yeah.
And where she would take different genres and put them in a room.
Mm-hmm.
And we've played a couple of those right along with like the likes of, you know, Katie Kelly, you know, Katie Evans. Who else? Artificial Tears when they were still around. And she would mix up the styles. Mm-hmm. Just because if you're here to see this person, you're going to hear this person that may not be in your wheelhouse.
Sure.
And it actually worked really, really good. I really shouldn't talk to my wife about getting that back up.
I played, like one or two?
Yeah, I played like about 3 of them.
Yeah. And that was
I was always the electronic representation, so were you.
Yeah.
Greenfly, I think, was one of... Actually, I think Greenfly was on one of them, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We were the electronic representation, but then you had folk act, you had hard rock act,
DJ
act, a DJ, you know, all in the same night. And it actually worked out really well. Huh. We kind of got away from that. I need to talk to her about that.
There's always room for that. Well, you do some DJ stuff too.
Yeah, I dabble.
Some 80s and stuff like that. You know, that's cool. I like that, and that's is that a way to maybe bridge the gap a little bit and say, hey, here's some stuff that I do, or is it's totally separate?
It's totally separate, and I'll tell you why it's totally separate. There's DJ Quoth and there's Quoth. There is a definite line between the two. It's the same person, but it's the two different aspects. I was DJing back in the 90s at goth and industrial clubs. Some people know this. I've repeated myself quite a couple of times on that fact, but I was DJ before any of this. Back in the early 90s, I DJed at a bunch of industrial goth new wave clubs like Limelight, during Communion Night, Pyramid Club, The Bank. I've done a lot. So I was doing that for actually a while. And then, adulthood kicked in and you had to be an adult. And, and then I moved out here and I got married. My first marriage, I got married and I was doing the adult thing there and had 2 boys. I was doing the adult thing there and there was nothing really here anymore. I heard I just missed it with the Ghouls Night Out and stuff. I just missed it. And there was nothing really going on. So I kind of just threw that in the back burner of my mind. Just something I did.
Sure.
Long story short, I got a phone call from Peter Kelly. Saying, hey, I got this guy doing this 80s nice thing. Bring your, and I'm not going to say the guy's name, so bring your vinyl. Hell no, I'm not bringing my vinyl to anywhere. I collect vinyl. I'm not bringing down nothing. But I'll come down there. And I came down there. This is when we were performing and stuff. And the thing with us performing is that me and my wife invested into a PA. He bought the mic stands. But we invested in the PA because we always wanted to have the option if somebody did want to have, we don't have a PA. I got you.
Oh, okay.
So, I had it was Hypnotic Effective Bloodline. Says, you have this PA, you should get back into DJ. I'm like, yeah. So I go down to this thing. I think Steph came with me. And it's a guy in a doctor's outfit. That's about all I'm giving you. DJing, but he's DJing on a turntable and a CD player. I think there was an 8-track somewhere. Okay. And he's just going all over it. And I'm just sitting there going. And he's playing like 80s stuff, but it's just not. It just wasn't popping. Not what you expected. Like there was like 4 other people there, and obviously like these were his work buddies, and I don't think they were even paying attention to him. And it was really sad because I was like, I see what you're trying to do here. You can really do something. And Peter comes up to me and says, well, what do you think? And I'm like, I never like to judge or show anybody in a negative light. DJ, performance, anything. You do what you do, and you believe in what you do, and I respect that already off the bat. But I did have to say, I said, I don't know. I think I can do better. And then Peter said, would you? And he's like, would I what? And he's like, would you DJ? Yeah. Like 80s music. He's like, and me and Peter have known each other for like good, at this point, like 14 years. And we talk shop on music forever. He knows I'm an 80s kid, and like deep into it. And he's like, why don't you do it? And the thing about Peter, once Peter gets an idea in his head, he doesn't let up, bro. He does not let up. Sure. So let me get a week. Let me think about this. And I have to amass all this music again. I don't have this still. Sure. And he's like, all right. And then I try to forget about it. Peter's like, yo, it's been a week. What's going on? You gotta do this. Right. Like, well, yeah, it was like probably like the second that he asked me. Yep. Remember when I asked you about this thing? And I said, Peter, give me a month. Now it's a month? Yeah, well, I'm going to have to amass this music and let me see how I feel. And I did the 80s thing. And it went well. And the reason why I did 80s New Wave, and a lot of people get mad, not mad, but wonder, why do I keep it 80s New Wave and 80s pop? Okay. Why don't I just make it 80s in general? Right. The reason is this. In my many years of going to bars in northeastern Pennsylvania, you walk into a bar, dive bar, nice. Well, let's say more of the divey bar. If you go to a nice bar, you're probably hearing more popular stuff. But you go to a dive bar, what are you hearing? 80s hard rock. Nothing wrong with that. I love my 80s hard rock. Don't cool. Please believe I do. But I want anything that I do, it has to be different. Okay. I don't want that jukebox if that jukebox can do it better than me, then pay the jukebox.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do the 80s New Wave thing, and Peter agreed, and I started doing that, and it actually turned out really well. Well, with that, started people coming up to me. It was like, oh, for like a good year, would you do 90s? And I'm like, man, you're really talking to me here now. You want me to do a 90s night?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, now I got to go and mass all of that. Now,
Right.
that I still had some of that in the city collection, but not a lot. And then I did the 90s night. And that first 90s night, boy, remember that
Yeah,
shit?
that was off the charts, really. Like, that was one of those things where you went to the bathroom and you came back out and there was, like, just this wall of people that weren't there when you went in the bathroom.
Like, him and his wife actually came up, like, I'm not very territorial, but I get really nervous when people come up on, like, if I'm on a stage and they come up on stage with me. I'm like,
Yeah.
now, here they come, like family. And I'm like, and it literally, I think it was your wife. I think it was your wife that said, or maybe it was you. It was like, we really just need to hang out up here with you because there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah, there was nowhere else
It was
to
the Irish
really
Wolf
go.
was just packed all night, and it was crazy. And so I do these things, but I'm also allowed to do things weird. I always try to do things weird. I do an 80s night, I do the 90s night, and then I do something I want to do. Like I just did a goth, what I call the goth trio night, which was all night of just Joy Division, The Cure, and Susie and the Banshees.
Nice.
I've done a Beastie Boys night.
Okay.
I'm gearing up to do a Radiohead night. I always try to do something weird that I think might interest people, but it's also something they never had
Maybe
around
not the
here.
same
Right.
people.
Yeah, it's something they never had before. Like, it was decided recently, the Beastie Boys thing, when I did it first, it's going to be an annual thing because it went off so well. I was shocked. But, yeah, to get back to the original, yeah, I dabbled in the DJ thing a little.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, I like how you
bit.
dabble in this DJ thing. You got a nice little trophy at home.
Right.
The shank. Can we talk about the reward?
Yeah,
It's a shank.
we got to wrap up soon, but I do want to mention about the so you guys won the Steamtown Music Awards. How did that feel? Because I know that was a long time coming for you guys, and
That's when
it's
you
got to
say
be.
that.
What was it? Was it like a shock, or was it like oh yeah, all right, this is finally coming, or what?
Well, we were
how did you
sitting in
feel?
the back drinking.
Yeah.
Like we always do.
I was
every award
literally
show.
at the bar getting
a
around
drink,
when I was called, so it was kind of like one of those like cartoon moments where like we were like running back and forth between like the same scenery over and over again, till I finally got through the sea of people up there. But it did mean a lot to me. I've been doing this for 20 plus years now, and for me, I'm one of the last, if not the last, of like the local electronic artists of the 20th century in the area.
Damn, you really put some thought in this, bro.
I mean,
But I want to say
true.
something. I want to say something to him. Whatever I want to, I was more excited for him because that was something that we've both been chasing.
Yeah.
For a while, so to have him do it, and actually my best moment, and I wanted to share this with you, my best moment of that was him winning the award, but it's what you said, which stuck.
That tied it all together.
Which you just said it again. This was a long time coming. You said that as it was coming.
And
that moment that you said that, like
that put a seal
on the whole deal.
lot of the,
And
negativity.
that was purely off the top of my head.
Right,
It put a seal on that negativity of like, well, God, I've been doing this all these years. Isn't anybody like, you know what I mean? Like, like,
please, somebody acknowledge this.
It's not about winning an award. I mean, that's nice, but it was.
I think the award was more of what you said.
It's that like. Okay, so somebody is paying attention. So somebody out there is, digging deeper, from the surface of what is electronic music in this area. Like I said, I understand it's not everybody's, cup of tea, and that you do have to dig a little deeper and, maybe have a little more broader thinking, to appreciate what it is I do, and that meant a lot to me, So,
and I mean, me winning,
everyone.
I think we were in the same corner.
Oh yeah,
and it was me, you, your wife, Katie Kelly, 8-Bit Panda Strike, and the Viking. Well, I was shocked because the way it was that we've been up for so much awards together and separate that he was actually at this point coming up to me saying, it's your turn. If I won, you're gonna win. And I'm like, dude, get bent. Let me drink this beer and let him say that I didn't win and we can go home.
Yeah.
And I remember the scene so well because Marcus was here, Dee was here, Panda was here, and Katie Kelly was right here. So I heard my name. I heard it. It just didn't hit me.
Yeah.
And Katie Kelly's like, oh my God. And I'm like, they really did say my name twice. I guess I did win.
I think I said something like, that's you, motherfucker.
Go get your damn She's like, oh my God. And I was like flipping. And then Joe Cavey did for you like you did for him, saying that dude runs one hell of a 90s night. You should check it out. And I was just like, wow, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like somebody is paying attention. So yeah, that was a surreal moment. But I like the fact that Katie Kelly pointed out the fact that the award
right there
is a shank.
It is a shank.
It's a very pointy shank. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
But I love my shanks.
We were laughing about that. Yeah,
it's really pointy, and it looks like a shank. Like you can really stab. I love it. It's such a beautiful design, and I have it right up on my thing, and I'm so proud of it.
It wasn't the only weapon at our disposal.
We did have the Viking spears and stuff.
He was like, hold this while I go to the bathroom.
And he is holding a spear. I think we took some really cool pictures of that.
Well, I think that's in our promo picture for this show tonight.
It is, the spears in the background.
Immortalized staring at you like this. I never knew.
He does that a lot to me. When we take pictures, he makes these, and I don't know he makes it until like the picture comes out. Why you always look like you're yelling at me?
Yeah, I didn't know that I'd be like forever known by that face, but that's all good, man.
Yeah.
There are worse ways to be remembered.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to wrap up with a quick couple comments. Darren Mason says...
he made it.
The scene is exactly the same here in the UK, especially where I live. It's very generic industrial, quote-unquote, or generic metal hardcore. And Ted Wampole, who we've had on the show before, he puts together the Satellite Ranch festival every year. He said, Funkstronaut Productions is all about showcasing local talent, especially electronic artists. Encourages you guys to reach out and
absolutely,
to him.
Ted. It was nothing. Cool. It was nothing against you. I would say that I definitely am a fan of your work. I keep up with you. Nothing against you at all. You're doing some things that I wish that we were on a level of doing. So nothing was burned against you, and I would gladly reach out to you.
Yeah, I don't think he took it that way.
No, I was making sure.
Like, you guys have a place here. I think.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, man.
Hey,
I appreciate
man.
that. That's a really cool. Good feeling. Thank you, because I'm a fan of your work, sir. Believe that. Yeah.
So thank you everybody for tuning in and paying attention and enjoying the a few people have said that they've enjoyed the interview, so that's always good. That's all on you guys.
I mean, I can't talk to him for more than an hour. I can't see how you can.
Let's plug the Irish Wolf Pub show. So it's this Saturday, November 17th.
Yes, sir.
What time?
9 o'clock sharp.
Okay.
Doors are at 8:30.
And so you guys are both playing separately. Then you're doing Spectre as well.
Yeah, we're doing Floating Guru, which is our friend Ken Bly from Teleforma.
Okay.
He's performing first, and I believe he's also bringing a well-known named Jansen Harris aboard with him to do some violin work, or I'm not really sure, but he's coming along. Then it's me. Then it's this guy. And then Spectre is actually going to, and it says on the flyer, if you don't read the fine print, this could be the first And or only.
It's definitely the first.
It's definitely first. And or only appearance of Spectre, where we're just gonna plug in some stuff and make it seem like we're just drinking some extra gold. Well, actually, I'm gonna ask Peter if we're allowed to drink.
Who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen in a live venue?
Yeah, we don't even know.
I mean, it could come across really awesome. It could sink like a battleship. You know what I mean? But
it's the first time I've ever used hardware in a live environment.
But I'm like I said before, I'm all about the experimental, edge of this, and I'm all right with whatever happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully, everyone else is too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Either people stay or people leave. Either way, we're gonna rock it. Either way,
it's still a reaction.
It's whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you guys best of luck and
keep
on keeping on.
Appreciate that.
It's like you guys said before. Sometimes it takes a while to get recognized, but you will if you do it long enough and you're doing something good and you're doing something right.
But I think the more important part
is it comes from the heart.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it regardless of recognition anyway.
Right.
Sure.
We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
If he didn't win this award, he'd still be making an album. If I didn't win an award, I'd still be DJing. It's just a beautiful add-on, though.
Yeah,
it's such a beautiful
it's not
add-on.
like what defines you as an artist, but it is sure nice. You know what I mean? So
and it goes on the resume really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't hurt.
Yeah, it can't hurt at all. Can't hurt.
Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Oh, Steph tuned in as well, so hi, Stephanie.
Hi, babe. Love you. Lady Hectic of Hectic Management and Promotions, who does most of our shows.
Yes.
And flyers. Actually, all of our shows and flyers. Well, 99.9% of our shows and flyers is done by that lady right there. A lot of people don't know about her. I'm just going to say this really quick. She's Lady Hectic. She's also an electronic musician. She's also released an album on his label under the name Raven Gray, which nobody knew. That was her. And just one amazing wife, mother, and boss. So, I love you.
Perfect way. So thank you so much. We'll be here next Wednesday as well from 7 to 8 p.m. If you enjoyed the show, if you liked it, please share. Let people know about it. We're always fighting the Facebook algorithms to get out there and show you some good stuff in your Facebook feed for a change. So make sure that you guys share the hell out of this and let people know that you enjoy the show. So thank you so much, and we will see you next week.
Thanks.